Hello, everyone. Welcome to our latest Shelf Care with Alicia. I'm Alicia, a licensed therapist who loves reading, and I know there's so many self-help books out there and just so many books out there about different issues and different topics, and it can be really overwhelming going into a store and being like, what should I grab? What's actually helpful and what is not worth my time? So I get to read all those books, get to review them for you, and then you get to just decide for yourself if it's worth it or not. I am repping Minnesota mug, my Minnesota sweater, Minnesota stuff probably all over in the background, because it's very relevant to a lot of just like life stuff going on in the news right now. I know these videos stay on for a while, so depending on if you watch it right when it comes out or in the future, there's just a lot of political stuff going on in my home state. And it's very fitting for the book that I chose for this month, and I'm super excited to talk about. I'm also getting over like three different sicknesses. On Christmas, I got sick with some cold that then turned into bronchitis, and it knocked me out for 2 weeks. I felt okay-ish for a couple days, and then I got COVID that knocked me out again. So, drinking tea, we're gonna get through this. And the last little sidebar is normally I'm like super organized. I love an outline. I love organizing my thoughts. I love just like coming prepared with you guys, making sure I like hit all the highlights of stuff that you want to know. And Google Docs and Word are like glitching out, or my brain just stopped working. I don't know how to use those, even though I'm a fully virtual therapist. I'm not tech savvy. So, like, I tried the normal things like restarting, updating, changing a few settings, like the minimal things, even ask ChatGPT. And I don't know how to work. It like won't let me like type things. And so we're gonna kind of go off the grid. I have my little like markers that are adorable cats, um, little post-its that are shaped like cats that are gonna get through our chat today. So let's get started. Let's roll with it. And I hope that this stuff is helpful because, spoiler alert, I loved this book and I really hope that you get it and then we can chat about it. So this month's book is called Democracy in Retrograde. Like most of the books that I review, I was at the thrift store scrolling the self-help section and I saw it and I was like, this is kind of like cheeky. What does this mean? And so it's like the subtitle's How to Make Changes Big and Small in Our Country and in Our Lives. Kind of like a play on words of like Mercury in retrograde, all about politics and how that is impacting mental health. So I was like already intrigued. The back says, if you've ever thought, why does politics seem hopeless? How can I add more to my life when I'm already busy and overwhelmed? I feel disconnected from my community and I don't know where to start. Oof, those are almost verbatim things that I have heard friends say, that I felt myself, that I've heard clients say. And again, there's just so much going on in the world. Like, I know right now my heart is really heavy with stuff going on in Minnesota, but there's stuff going on everywhere. And it's very overwhelming and it can be very confusing and helpless and hopeless and it can be really paralyzing. So I really like that this book was really clear in like how to tackle that hopeless feeling. It talks about how to build like a civic engagement that works authentically for you, that's actually sustainable, helps you fit in with your community, and it gives very tangible action steps. Still recovering from the cold. This is gonna be great talking for like the next 30, 40 minutes. So basically, I like to start with my overall rating of the book. This one was really hard because overall, I love the book. I'm still gonna recommend it to people. I've been posting all about it on my socials. I've been posting like little like snippets of things that have stood out. I have been taking some things already and working with clients with it. So like I'm gonna recommend it to pretty much everyone. However, I couldn't give it a 5 star because some of it felt like I was back in grad school reading a thesis or like a research paper. So I think I would give it a 4.5. And rounding up to still like I would recommend it to people. And I would say if some of the stuff seems just like super confusing or those long sentences or they're really big words, you can skip it. And the authors even give you that permission of like, you don't have to read this book in order. You don't have to even read every single page. You can kind of like choose your own adventure, skip around, and make it make sense for you. So I don't know if it was because I was like becoming unsick and my brain was still a little foggy, or if it was just like actually this person was way smarter than me and was like saying things that I just couldn't understand. There was some where I was like, oh, this is a little dense. Like you're super smart, love that for you, but like my brain is not braining in that way. So if you notice a few parts like that, it's honestly more in the beginning where they're kind of doing more like explanation of what like the systems are and kind of like the issues that are going on and the hopelessness stuff. Like they just are so smart that it can be hard sometimes to like not everyone has that same language. So honestly, the rest of the book though, once you get through those parts, the rest of it 5 out of 5. I flew through the second half of the book and I was making so many notes. I was highlighting so many things. I was writing things down, I was like sharing things on social media. Like it got me so energized. So just a more about what this book is. This book is really a how-to guide for how to get more involved in things that are important to you. I'm kind of going to jump ahead a little bit just because if you are already like, politics aren't really my thing, I want to stop you right there and say that's okay. Even though most of this book talks about the government and how the different systems work and all those things about how to get involved for issues that matter to you, I really like that actually at the end, they're like, well, what if I don't? Like, I think they should have probably been in the beginning, but if they saved it to the end, it was like, well, what if I don't want to really get involved in politics? That's okay. It talks about how you can get involved with like local nonprofits, how you can get involved in your community. It doesn't have to have a political focus. I would argue most people who are very political would say like everything is kind of political. But if politics just are not your thing and you're not in that headspace right now, this book does a really good job of like, that's okay. You can go to the local humane society and donate time, resources, money, whatever you have. You can just go hang out in your local library. You can just say hi to your neighbors more. Like there's very actionable things that are still gonna be authentic for you if you don't really want to like get big into the more like policy driven type things right now. Also, I think this should have been in the beginning, but I saved it at the end, is they do a great job of breaking things down if you don't know how a lot of this stuff works. I think a lot of times things with politics and the government and just these systems, it can be really confusing. And I did not do great in history and like those type of classes. I was a English person, math person, science person. And so I was like, I don't know how a lot of these laws work, or I kind of know the base of some of these things, or I've heard some of these terms, but like, I don't really know how a lot of this stuff is. And that can be really intimidating, especially if we like want to have some of these conversations, but we feel like, oh, maybe I don't know enough, or I'm not educated enough, or I'm gonna sound stupid or uninformed. So it just kind of like shuts us down from those things. It talks at the end all about additional resources of like, here are the different branches of government. Here's what a term limit is. Here's what a democracy is. Here's what a republic is. Here's the difference between local, state, and national governments. And here are the different roles. And here's what they're in charge of. And here's kind of how they can kind of fight with each other. And the branch of the government I mentioned, kind of like the checks and balances between them, what executive orders are, the different court systems even. And like they're just small little blurbs. Like they actually did a great job because like I'm sure they know so much about all of these things. Like they could write, and there are like full ass textbooks on these things, but it's nope, just a little paragraph of this is what the judicial branch is, and this is what the House of Representatives is. That one's two paragraphs. Legislative branch, that one has one sentence. The executive branch, the president, that one has one sentence. So it just kind of breaks down what they are, really short, tangible, like it's not like you're rereading a textbook. That section, I think, honestly should have been the beginning because it was just super helpful. Really small, even just, yeah, just like small things of like, here's what the heck is going on, here's who these people are, here are these terms. We're all on the same page. So I really like that. If you don't know those things, you are not stupid. These things are confusing and they break it down super well. Okay, so now we're just going to go in order because, like I said, my tech is being a little wild today, and it gives me an excuse to go old school with a physical book and getting to look at the cute cat stickers. So, the first thing I wanted to point out that I really liked about this book is it even tells you you don't have to read it in order. They call it a choose your own adventure book. Even before I saw or remembered that they used that term, that's kind of how I thought it. You can go through if you want like an action step right now because you're like, okay, there's crisis stuff going on. Like, I need something, but I don't know what to do right now. I'm overwhelmed. You can flip through the act to the action phase places and you can start there. Or if you're like, I don't really know, like nothing feels right, and you want to do more of like this exploration stuff, kind of start doing your I values, identifying like your mission and different things that you're passionate about, you can start there. So it's a choose your own adventures. They even said there are no rules. This is not a book that you have to read in order. You don't have to read every single page. You don't have to read every word. You can make it work for you. So especially when we're overwhelmed and busy, we get a giant book like this and we're like, oh my God, I'm never gonna read that. No, that's just like the last book that I reviewed. If you want to read a page, if you want to just skim it, like that is okay. And you're still going to be able to take away stuff from this book. They do a really good job making it digestible, minus like the few things, like I said, that I felt like I was reading a research article, but that's okay. They're just really smart. So, that was the thing that I said where like this part, it kind of felt more kind of like not like even research. It was just like such long sentences that my brain was like, oh my gosh, there's a lot of big words. And my brain was not braining. So if your brain is not braining, guess what? Skip it. Okay. Then the other thing I liked is it talks about hopelessness. That's something that is big in the therapy world that we talk about. And honestly, what we talk about in therapy is how like that's kind of the goal for people in power. They want us to feel hopeless and helpless because then we feel small, we feel stuck, and we don't do anything. And so they even create like a little hopeless spiral that can happen. And so you can kind of identify where you are in there, kind of how it functions. This is not a weakness of you. This is not you are doing something wrong. You are bad for feeling these things. It doesn't mean that you don't care. It honestly means that you probably care a lot. And so it's very normalizing and validating of like, oh my gosh, yes, like this is exactly what happens. It also is a good point of like we can kind of ebb and flow, where sometimes we feel really helpless and hopeless, and then other times we feel a little spark of energy, or we kind of like want to do something, and it shows like these emotions are not stagnant, and they do a really good job of like explaining the process and what we go through. And it was done in a way where like I haven't used a lot of that language before. So like that's definitely something that I'm taking to use with my clients. And I really encourage you to read that cycle. I love like a personality quiz. I'm a sucker for like an Enneagram. Like if you can categorize me in a box, I love it. I'm Enneagram 1. I just retook my Strengths Finder since grad school, so like now I know my 5 top strength things. I took like the Meyer. I never remember like the ENF one. I never remember which one I am for that one. But I love it. And what I like is it puts me in how am I trying to phrase this? They're words. Words are hard right now. Okay. So when they are talking about hope, because again, we just talked about hopelessness, there's different ways that our brain views hope or hopelessness, just reality, essentially. And what I really like is it breaks it down into five different types. And then it kind of walks you through and helps you identify, well, which one are you mostly aligned with? It does say you can be multiple things. So this is where a lot of times these categories, like we feel really constricted in, or we're like, how can we just like, it depends on the situation. They acknowledge that. They're not trying to put you in a box, but they're saying, okay, where are you right now? Or what's your most common style? It just helps you identify something because what their goal is trying to do is they're not trying to give you a list of 200 action steps that you can do. And then you go through the list and you're like, great, what do I pick? Where do I start? Like it's overwhelming. So their goal is to help you kind of narrow it down and say, okay, if you naturally think in this way, here are some things that are going to align with what works for your brain. Because if you are a pragmatic person, someone who really likes like actionable like solutions, clear cut things, that's what my husband is. If you were to say, well, just like research something or think of how the world can be a better place, they're going to be like, that is nothing. Like, that's not going to be fulfilling for them because they really view a lot of this stuff as like things that are supposed to be self-care. And if you watch any of my videos or you know me at all, self-care is not just bubble baths. I love a bubble bath. I love like a shopping trip. Like I love doing things that are like the more movie style self-care, but self-care is truly just anything that takes care of ourselves and doing things like getting involved in our community, taking care of other people, and standing up for issues that are really important to us. Like that's a form of self-care. So if we're trying to like fit in a box that doesn't make sense for us, that's not really helpful. What I also really like is they talk about how all five views are helpful. So there's pragmatist, there's realist, optimist, pessimist, and idealist. I think pessimists get crapped on a lot, and especially in like our toxic positivity society, we're like, "Oh, just like think positive or don't focus on the negative stuff." And like the reality is some people's brains are really good at that. Sometimes we can get stuck in it, and anything in the extremes can sometimes not be super helpful. But when we think about policies and politics in our communities, it can be helpful to have someone who's naturally good at recognizing a flaw in a system. So, oh, hey, like this isn't really working super well. Like, I'm kind of skeptical of how this is. Let me learn more about it. Like, that's actually a super helpful tool. So, it breaks those hope things into five different styles. It then goes and like helps you identify which one you are. And then it tells you how you can be helpful in your community. So if you're a pragmatic person, well, you can figure out the policies that you need to help get an actual speed bump in your neighborhood if there's a lot of kids and people are speeding through your area. Like you're gonna be good at being like, okay, like I can go through the city ordinances, I can find the right paper form, like I can do those things. It tells you how to like kind of create a little bit more hope that is in line with your style and even like how you can work with the other styles in a way that makes sense. So there's realist. That's what I ended up identifying as. It just like helps you in an authentic way that makes sense for you. The one thing that I did kind of like get annoyed with this thing is they're saying like, oh yeah, like all five types are helpful and great and like empowering them all, and they do. And they kind of like say like pragmatics are annoying, and my husband is a pragmatic person, so I was like, no, you can't call him annoying, like only I can call him annoying. So that was like the one, like if I was an editor I would have just like crossed that line out because like they're trying to be cheeky with like, yeah, if you're this type, pragmatics probably annoy you, it's okay, they're annoying, but it's like, no, like let's not. If I was a pragmatic person reading that, I'd be hurt. So, like all five types are helpful. All five types have strengths. It's just finding what makes sense with you, and then it actually helps you find steps that work with your brain. Like even like the like an idealist, it helps you like create visions for things. If you're a pessimist, they were a little cheeky with the pessimist too. They're like, I'm shocked you're reading this book. Like, no. They probably are the first ones who are like, yeah, shit is not going well. Like, we need to do something. Like, we can be nice to all the types people. But it says like making risk assessments. Like, you are going to be good at identifying the things that could go wrong. You are going to be able to document things. You're going to be able to help give constructive criticism to people who might be in like other roles. And so they're all helpful tools. So just find what makes sense for you. And there's lots of reflection type things that you can do. You know, I love a good like reflection exercise, very like introspective type stuff. So this book does a really good job of that. And then you can just jump straight to can we do? If you're like, I don't really want to, I don't want to think about hopelessness. I don't care about my hope style. What the heck do I do? It tells you you can just jump straight to the action type phases. I do want to note that I like that it normalizes that politics often is like a taboo topic. We get taught we don't talk about politics. Like even in my family, we're like, we don't talk about politics. We just say nothing mean to each other. We can't have conversations and we just like avoid because it's uncomfortable and it's hard. And like that is so not helpful. But that's the messages that we get. Generation after generation is just, we don't talk about it. We don't talk about politics. Sorry, like I get heated because I think it's a silly rule. Um, and then this sentence just was really spicy. And so I wanted to share it with you because this is just like a little bit of what you can expect if you read this book. It says, who benefits from normalized silence on politics or anything for that matter? If your opinion didn't have power, there'd be no effort to shut you up. Boom. People don't want us to talk about it because then guess what? We share ideas. We realize we have more in common than we think. It actually brings us together by talking about things instead of right now, everything is so polarized. And so we can say, like, you're the enemy, you're the other, you are bad, I'm right. And guess what? Who benefits from that? The people in power, not us. So talk about it, find people. It even has steps on how to have a meaningful conversation about politics if that's not something that you're used to or if someone has a different opinion than you. It talks about ways to de-escalate those things and just like kind of tips for both of you guys to make it a actual helpful conversation. So chef's kiss, love that. And then guess what? There's another personality quiz. We got two personality quizzes in this book. This is where your girl was like, oh my gosh, this is my favorite book. So not only did I get to identify that I'm a realist, I got to figure out what my civic personality quiz was, or my personality style. So just a cute little quiz that walks you through, and then it tells you where you are. And again, it's really great because it then walks you into like different characteristics that can be your strengths in those areas. So these things come naturally to you, and then it just talks like how you can use that in your civic world. Talks about different roles you can have. It talks about like then like the actionable things that you can do. So like if you're a leader style, well then you can um join a school board if you like, or you can really focus and research one topic that you're really passionate about, or you can make a spreadsheet or listen to a podcast. So again, like there's different types of things depending on how you want to get involved. And there's little stories, and then again, more action steps, like so many action steps. So this is where it really like narrows in on like, okay, what do I do? So if you only want to do like one area, I would do the civic personality quiz and then hone into where you want to go because the actions give you things from like if you just have a few hours a month, heck, even just like a few minutes a month. Okay, well, I can sign up for an email list. That was one that I've never thought of before. When I think about getting involved in like my community, it's okay, like following social media on local businesses or following different politicians or different speakers or different organizations, all this stuff. Sign up for a newsletter. If you don't have a ton of time to give, but you want to start somewhere, sign up for a newsletter. I love that. Attend a meeting, post something, like, and then it goes a little bit deeper. If you have more time you want to give, maybe like a few hours a week, then you can do a few things. Or if you want to make this more of a time commitment, it gives you a few things. So again, it gives you such a variety of things that you can do. And then it goes into each of those areas. There's like a leader, there's a giver, creator, more. And so they each go into what you can do with those. So we talked about that. That is what I recommend everyone take, everyone, and then tell me what you got. I was a giver. And then in one of the things it says to create a little free library. And I laughed so hard because, of course, in front of my house, I have a little free library and I stock it with books. And I'm very intentional with like putting social justice type material in there. So I was like, okay, this checks out. This checks out. I already mentioned that it doesn't have to be political, so if you're still watching this, I love it. But if you're still like, politics aren't my thing, that's okay. Find nonpartisan things, find nonprofits, just like find something in your community. Okay, lastly, one of the things that I really, really liked, because again, these things can be really confusing and intimidating. We don't know where to start. You are not stupid. They do not teach us a lot of this stuff. And if they do, it was forever ago. It's okay if you don't know it all. But it talks about how to actually communicate with your representatives at multiple levels. So if you want to like start with your school board, it talks about how you can start with your local things. If you want to start talk to your state reps, up to other the different food chains. But it says, okay, first figure out like who you want to reach out to, and then it talks about you can call them, you can email them, you can go to a meeting, and then depending on what you want to do, it gives you a template for what to say. So if you're going to call them or leave them a voicemail, it gives you a script. If you're going to email them, it says, here's what you write. And it gives you all the steps that you need to do. Love it. We already talked about how to have conversations with people. I think that one should have been a little bit earlier. But hey, not everything can be perfect. And then at the end, there's like this bringing it all together. So as I said, it's kind of like a choose your own adventure. So every time that you do an exercise, it says, okay, write this down. So that way, if you don't want to like read everything, you have like this solid game plan of things that you can do, tangible things you can do. Um, and that's that. Like, I know I kind of just like flew through the book. I hope this stuff made sense because I didn't have time to like actually write down a lot of my thoughts. But overall, I loved the book. I think it's very timely. I think in the world right now, there's just so much going on. I think people want us to feel small, and the truth is, we are powerful. So I would recommend this book to honestly everyone. I would recommend this book, especially if you are passionate about social issues and you don't know where to start because you've been feeling like a little bit or stuck. Highly recommend it there because it walks you through exactly like where to start. It gives you ideas. Even if you've never really been interested in politics before, I would challenge you to read the book. They do a good job of not overly like being in one side of like, hey, these are, these left-leaning social issues that everyone should care about. It really does just say like, these are the systems that we're in and here's how it can impact us. And so I think even if you don't align with like my views, I think you would still get something from it. And again, how to have those conversations, how to still get involved in things that are important to you. Like those are just general things that are important to all people. I think it works for if you're busy. I do think it just be intentional with kind of like skipping around a little bit, kind of like maybe focusing on a specific thing. If you do get it and you're overwhelmed and you want to like, hey, where should I start? You can leave a comment and I can like kind of help you navigate. Here's the flow, like here's what I would focus on these chapters, and then you can go there. I'd recommend this to clients. I would recommend this. Honestly, you can like read this with like your young adults or your older teens. Like it's just a great book. It's very systemic, so we love that. And yeah, again, just skip the parts that seem a little too like meh for you. But other than that, I think it's a great book. Um, I think it's really timely. I hope it gives you some empowerment and action things to do things that are important to you. I know it's helped me with a lot of the stuff that's going on in Minnesota lately, so it's really timely for me to be able to read that and add a little bit of empowerment and hope when I've been feeling really dark and down with that. So, whatever issues are important to you, I hope that you get to pick something from this book and it helps you be able to work towards that. Lastly, if you have any other book ideas that you want, drop them. I don't know what I'm reading next time yet, so I've got a little bit of a break before I pick my next book. So if you have a book where you're like, I've heard of this, I don't know if it's good, let me know, and then I can share my thoughts on it so you can see if it's good or not. Keep reading, and until next time, take care of yourself.